to work. I was about 14 at that time, to load and unload military equipment. They worked us day and night without food, starvation, freezing in the wintertime. If they want us to work around the clock, that's what we had to do. And this is how we were treated when I was a teenager. Here comes 1941. They brought in boxcars from other countries and other cities to our town. Our town was a border town, in boxcars, several transports, men, women, children, sick people, pregnant ladies. I remember a lady with a newborn baby. She is crying, the baby is crying. There was much we could do. Whatever we could do, we did. We had a little food, we shared with them. And whatever we could do to help them to survive or to live or to get a little water, this is what we did. They were unloaded from those boxcars. Those boxcars could not continue because they were different width for the rails, so they had to unload them there. Several transport, they amounted to about 14,000 people, men, women, children, sick people, pregnant ladies. They were unloaded, they were put on trucks. Some had to walk on foot onto Kolomea in Kamenets-Podolsk, right close by where we lived. Those that were marching on foot, they couldn't keep up, so they shot them, they killed them, whatever, as long as they took their gold teeth, gold fillings, clothing, their shoes, and left them for the vultures, didn't even bother to bury them. Those that reached Kamenets-Podolsk were chased into ravines. There are pictures available, by the way, with the machine guns. As long as there was somebody moving, brrr. Some were buried while they were still alive. Some were able to crawl out of those mass graves. So by that time they had run out of ammunition, bullets. They didn't have any more bullets to shoot. So they tied their wrists and their ankles and threw them in the river so they will drown. One night there is a knock on our door. A young lady, maybe 17, 18 years old. She was one of those that survived out of that river. How she ever survived out of that river is a miracle of miracles. We helped her clean up, change clothes. She was dressed in military pants and so on, so we helped her to change clothes, to clean up, and gave her some money so she can go and look for her parents or relatives or whatever she could be looking for. Her name was Schwarzwald Charlotte. Hopefully she connected, and hopefully they all survived. We have not heard from them. A few days later, there is a knock on our door in the middle of the night. Everybody has to go to the downtown area. And they explained to us, this is martial law. If you don't move fast enough, boom, they shoot you like nothing. Somebody sick in the bed can't get out, shoot him. All the Jewish people were chased into the downtown area. My father and myself went to our little synagogue that we had maybe 4 or 5 doors away from our home. And there were 3 Torahs in that synagogue. We brought them home into our house, put them away nice, neat, and clean. That was the last time we saw those Torahs. All the Jewish people were chased into the downtown area. We were put into a large building by the name of Corona. It was a theater building. We didn't all fit in there, so some of us had to stay outside in the mud, and the rain, and the cold, and so on. Several days after that, we were marched to the Jewish cemetery. The Jewish cemetery is on a hill, and there is a flat piece of land. By the way, all of that is still there. Flat piece of land. And we were lined up, and some of the secrets have leaked that we will have to dig our own graves, and we will be buried there. We will be shot, machine gun down, whatever they were going to do with us. This was the system and the method of killing in Eastern Europe at that particular time in that particular area. And this was done by the Einsatzgruppen, A, B, C, and D, from the north to the south. They had no other job just to kill Jews, no other job. In the thousands of men, they were happy to announce that Latvia or Estonia, one of the two, I don't know, was reported Judenrein, clean of Jews, no more, killed out all the Jews. The way they did, they were following the military, and they get into every town, every city, whatever, and they would take the Jewish people out, maybe outside of the city or outside of the town, take their gold teeth, gold fillings, their clothing, their shoes, and kill them off. They didn't even bother to bury them. They would take Jewish people, chase them into synagogues, lock the doors, put the synagogue on fire, and throw in hand grenades so they will all be killed. And the same thing was waiting for us. But we didn't know exactly how this is going to work. But all we could do is pray to Hashem, pray to God in our own different ways. Whoever wanted to say Shema Yisrael, Ani Mammon, widow, whatever we could say and pray to God, and we did. They were there with the machine guns, with the pigs, with the shovels, ready to, they even brought in civilians from the town to help them do a good day's work, and they were all ready and happy to do a good day's work to kill off the Jews. Something happened, a telephone or a telegram came, we were rounded up, walked to the, chased to the railroad, into boxcars, men, women, children, babies, pregnant ladies, whatever, into jam-packed, doors locked from the outside, without food, without water, without enough air to breathe. Off we go, stop and go. The reason, when those boxcars left our town, excuse me, not one Jewish person was left in the town, not one Jewish person. Today, there is not one Jewish person in our town, my town, and the neighboring towns, the small towns, clean, Judenrein, no Jews in there. There are some Jewish people live in the larger cities, but none left, so he really cleaned out, made it Judenrein sort of. Off we go, stop and go. The reason the stop and go was that they were loading or hooking up other boxcars, and so it took a little time, stop and go, and they loaded up. We had no idea which way we are traveling because there were very small openings. We didn't even have enough air to breathe there. To see where the sun was, to orient ourselves, whether we're going north, south, east, no idea. Last stop, we are in a little city by the name of Mátészalka. This was in Hungary. We were put into a ghetto, fenced around like animals, without water, without food, with all kinds of threats. Put in lists on the walls that pregnant women will get shot. You step over the line, you get shot. You do this, you get shot. There was a tall assessman with his machine gun across here, and hand grenades and handguns, and with a long stick in his hand, nails sticking out on the other hand, just hit anybody over the head, whoever he could reach, without asking or saying anything. Just didn't say one word. Several days later, we were taken to a cemetery in Mátészalka. We were told to give up everything we have in our pocket. We didn't have any luggage. for a long time, to whatever we have in our pockets to give up. Money, a watch, a notebook, a pencil, a pen, everything to give up. And they continued to say that they will search our bodies, and those that didn't give up everything will be shot on the spot. Naturally, we gave up everything, whatever we had. And when they are talking searching bodies, they're talking about human cavities, including men and women, in a very sadistic and brutal way. We gave up everything. We were rounded up, taken to the railroad. Now this time it was a little bit worse than before, because most of us had problems, health problems, diarrhea and other problems. As soon as we got into those boxcars, the floor gets covered with human waste. Off we go, again without food, without water, without enough air to breathe. Off we go, again stop and go, similar to the previous ones. Last stop, doors opened up, everybody out in a hurry. With them everything was schnell, 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 in a hurry, schnell. Some were dead, some were dying, some were giving birth, some were lying in their own excrement, some lost their reasoning. Some of us were able to get out. We were met by inmates in those striped uniforms you probably saw in the movies, the blue, like pajamas. Most of them were Jewish, probably 98% Jewish. And we are inquiring, where are we, what is this? They say Auschwitz. We had never heard that word before. We had no idea what it is or where it is or what's happening. Auschwitz. Then they continued to tell us they were not allowed to, because one was talking to us and he was shot right in front of us. We just did not believe them. We figured people talking like this, they must be crazy, talk like that, cremating, gassing. So we just did not believe. They knew that we did not believe them. So they showed us, you see those chimneys? Yeah, we looked at them in Birkenau, the chimneys, smoking, smelling. We smelled it. It smelled like burning flesh or burning hair. We still did not believe that something like this is going to happen to us. We knew that we are not criminals. We are decent human beings. We are paying taxes wherever we live. Nothing like that is going to happen to us. We were chased forward and everything schnell. The dogs biting us, hitting us over the head with a whip or a stick. Everything schnell, schnell. We come to a point where there is Dr. Mengele. You probably heard this word before. He was an MD, but he was supposed to heal people, but he was a killer. And he was after twins. With us was cousins, said twins, girls, my cousins. They were taken to Mengele for experiments. He experimented on twins and many other experiments that he did. They happened to survive, and they didn't live very well or very long after that. Here we are facing Dr. Mengele. They were beautifully dressed. Their boots were shining like mirrors, and they didn't talk to us. They just motioned. And if you don't follow their motion, they hit you or they get a dog to bite you. You go here, you go there, you go here. My mother and sister had to go this way. That was the last time I saw my mother. My father and brother this way. Shortly we were separated from our father. He was murdered either in Auschwitz, Buna, or on one of the death marches. We may talk about it a little later. We were marched on top of a huge mountain-like clothing, told to undress completely, everything schnell, schnell, fast, fast. As soon as we got undressed completely, they could tell who's young and strong. You stand over there. We were told that they're going to work in the cookie factory. Of course, they lied to us whenever they wanted to lie. They took those strong young men to work in the Sonderkommando. Sonderkommando in Auschwitz was approximately consisting of about 850 men, probably 95% Jewish. They had a good life, but they knew they were dead. They were going to be killed. Their job was nothing, just to work the gas chambers and the crematoria. So at that time when we were in Auschwitz, they were exterminating as many as 10 to 12,000 people in 24 hours. Now the killing part of it was easy, cheap, and fast. They put in 400 approximately, and they're still there, the foundations are still there, in one of these warehouses, sort of, hermetically closed. They dropped the Cyclone B, they're dead within, let's say, 20 minutes or so. Now what to do with so many dead bodies? So they used these people from our group. By the way, not one of those have survived. They worked them to a tempo, or they tortured them, that some of them didn't live more than 1 day because they didn't want anybody to talk about what was going on. Going back to the Einsatz, to the Sonderkommando, they lived, they had a good life, but they were all dead because they knew that at a certain time when they decide they killed them all off, they get a new Sonderkommando. They killed approximately 13 different Sonderkommandos. There was one Sonderkommando that said, no, we are not going to do this job. Brrr. They were machine gun right away. Hess was the commander of Auschwitz at one time, and he was in a court, and the court accused him of exterminating as many as 10 to 12,000. He says, correction, when he was commander of the camp in Auschwitz, it was 16,000. In other words, he was proud of what he was doing, very proud, did something very, very good. These that went from our commando, from our group, the strong young ones, they had to carry or drag the dead bodies from the gas chambers and just throw them on fire because the crematoria were not sufficient enough. Just throw them on fire. There are pictures available of that. Just throw them on fire. This was such a mass killing. It was the biggest catastrophe in the world, and the world did nothing. The free world did nothing. Our group, we were completely naked. We were walked into a barrack. All the hair, wherever we had hair on our body, was clipped off. And we were completely naked. We are inquiring about some food, water. They told us